it's Channon Rose, and in today's video I'm going to be doing a story time, but it's going to be a little bit different. I have done a story time like this once before, and you guys seem to really like it and wanted me to do another one. So I filmed this whole video and had to come back to let you guys know I've already filmed this exact video because I literally read from the same freaking chapter in my book like a long time ago, and it's been so long I just didn't remember. So if you've already seen this, I'm sorry. Maybe you want to watch it again, or maybe there's new people that haven't watched my old video, so that's why I'm just gonna leave this new one up. But my cat's down here, do you see him? So yeah, anyway, sorry about that, but I just want people to know that I know that I've already filmed this. I just thought I'd put it up anyways for anybody that maybe hasn't seen it yet. If you're wondering what I'm wearing on my lips, it is my lipstick, Channon Rose. It's my lipstick by Channon Rose. It is in the shade Cake, so I'll leave it down below if you guys are interested in getting it. Okay, so in today's video, I'm gonna be reading from my book. Last time I did this, you guys really seemed to like it, so I'm gonna do it again. This is chapter 4 that I'm gonna be reading. It's called I Hate You, Don't Leave Me, Childhood Bipolar Disorder. On every chapter in my book, I have a quote, like one of my favorite quotes, and this one says, great spirits have often encountered violent opposition from weak minds, and that's by Albert Einstein. Okay, so this is a kind of a long chapter, so grab a snack, grab a cookie. I don't know why I'm so hyper today, but I am. I guess I should give a little disclaimer before reading this because it could be kind of sensitive to some people. If you get triggered by like psychiatric hospitals or psychiatric medications or anything like that, this probably is not the video for you. Also, my background, so you guys are used to me like on my bed and everything, but since we moved, I've been trying to work on a good background for you guys. So let me know what you think of this. This is kind of boring. I don't really know if I want to keep this or not. To be honest, I just did this because it was better than no background at all, but I plan to like do something. Oh, and another disclaimer, I did just self-tan, so that's why my hands and my feet look kind of crazy. All right, let's get into the book. Okay, this is chapter 4. The psychiatrist had told my mother that I was bipolar and I would not be able to live a normal life without medication. I was prescribed 500 milligrams of lithium 3 times a day and Seroquel once in the morning and once at night before bed. The decision to put me on that medicine ended up being a serious mistake and the beginning of a serious downhill path for me. The meds prescribed to me were to control my bipolar disorder. I was so frustrated with everything going on and I had lost a big part of my soul in that hospital. Because of all that, I became very rebellious and I was on heavy psychiatric medication as well. Not a great combination. During those 30 minutes of meeting me, the psychiatrist diagnosed me with this serious disorder. No test needed. Oh yes. And my behavior as observed in the hospital contributed to the doctor's conclusion of my mental state. Well, I can tell you that nobody acts like their normal self when thrown into a mental asylum. One man's opinion would send me on a journey that nearly ended my life so many times. I was still coming to the reality that my parents put me in a psych ward, and now I had to take this brain-altering medication. It was a lot for me to handle. My parents made sure I took every single pill the doctor said I needed. The doctors had scared us into thinking that if I did not take it, something terrible would happen. We were told I would hurt my family or myself. Being young, I believed what the doctors said and what my parents told me to do. I believed all of it. I didn't know any better at the time. I was placed in an outpatient therapy program by the state called the Family and Child Guidance Center and saw a therapist twice a week to talk about my feelings, and I hated it. I didn't want to talk about all the horrible things happening in my life. I wanted to forget them. Naturally, therapists want you to open up and talk about your problems. I did the opposite and would just be quiet and not talk at all. This really annoyed my therapist when I went in for our meetings and didn't say a word. I was extremely defiant and no longer respected or trusted my elders. I did this for a while until one day she took out art supplies during our session and said if I didn't want to talk, I could paint or draw my feelings. The idea of art and painting caught my attention. It was finally something I was up for. I don't know why I get emotional reading this. Like, it's really weird because I don't know, I guess just like thinking and like going back to that place is like not a happy place for me. So sorry if So I ended up painting in therapy and it actually did make me feel better. Ever since that day, I have always used art as my outlet for when I can't explain what I am feeling or to make myself feel better. As I got older, I would write songs, do art, and now write books. It's a creative outlet I have always needed and used to express myself in ways I wouldn't otherwise know how. During the time I was in outpatient therapy, my parents were given a book on bipolar disorder to help them better understand my supposed mental illness, but neither of them read it. If they weren't going to try and understand my illness, then why should I try and learn more about it? Maybe if we would have read it and educated ourselves more on it, maybe they could help me and wouldn't keep sending me to everyone else to fix me. After all, I was doing all these things for their attention. One day, I was extremely agitated in a therapy session. I really did not want to be there. All my friends were hanging out and seeing a movie, and I couldn't go because I had to go to stupid therapy. I was not getting better, and therapy was not helping. I was pissed that I had to be there that day and was throwing some major attitude to my therapist. She was not having it and ended up yelling at me in the session. I freaked out and threatened to kill her if she tried yelling at me again like that. She immediately walked out of the room and left me in there by myself. I didn't know if she was scared of me or going to talk to my mother. Next thing I know, I have my therapist walking back in with a security officer. He stood there in the room, and I looked at her and said, "Really? You brought a rent-a-cop?" She said, "Shannon, you can't threaten to kill people. That will land you back in the hospital." As soon as she said that, it set off a major trigger for me, and I went apeshit crazy in her office. I picked up my chair and I threw it at her. I started screaming, telling her not to threaten me. Just crazy stuff, really. I think whatever meds they had me on really put me on edge and made me way crazier than I already was at the time. I tried to stab the security officer with a pin that was sitting on my therapist's desk. He ended up restraining me with handcuffs, but not after a serious struggle. I put up a good fight. I had turned into a mental patient that everyone was trying to help get better, but I was only getting worse, much worse. I went back to the mental hospital again that day and had been admitted to the psych ward 7 different times that same year. Fast forward a few months, I was admitted to the psych ward again, but this time, Mitzi would be coming with me. Mitzi did everything for my dad. She waited on him hand and foot. That disturbed woman worshipped him like a god, and her obsession over him was not healthy. I never did believe that she loved him. Why would she intentionally hurt him and his kids? Babe? I think the lights fell.
Yep.
It just about gave me a damn heart attack. Sorry guys. Technical difficulties. Hopefully that's not the ghost. Okay, sorry about that guys. Whew, my heart is like still pounding. I never did believe that she loved him. Why would she intentionally hurt him and his kids if she loved him? Mitzi was a sick psychopath. One evening during dinner, Missy poked me with a fork at the dinner table because my elbows were on the table. It was rude to do that, you see. I didn't get a warning or a verbal request, just to poke with a fork into my elbow. My father saw it and asked her not to do that again, but being 13 years old and on meds, I forgot shortly after, and my elbows popped back onto the table. Missy stabbed me again with the fork in the same place on my elbow, but this time breaking my skin and causing me to bleed. My father witnessed it again, and this time he was angry. I would have punched that crazy bitch in the face if my dad wasn't already reprimanding her. He yelled at Mitzi, which caused her to freak out. She started cussing and saying that I had no manners and that someone needed to teach me because nobody else was going to because he was never around. My father told her that that is not how you punish children, especially not his. My dad stuck up for me that night and then proceeded to talk about how her kids had worse manners, and it ended up a heated argument that lasted about an hour. I was just so happy that my dad had seen what happened and stood up for me. It made me feel like he actually did love me and that he cared about me. My dad didn't talk to Mitzi for the rest of the night, and I could visibly see that she was upset and really distraught by it. I didn't know it at the time, but I guess Mitzi was so upset that she took some pills and started drinking that night. Later that night, after everyone had gone to sleep, Mitzi quietly came into my room. My room had its own bathroom and was on the other side of the house. She came in, turned my light on, which woke me up, and locked my door. I wasn't sure why she was waking me up, but I thought maybe she had come in to apologize for what had happened earlier that night at the dinner table. I thought if she was actually here to apologize, she's only here to try to make things better with my dad and not me. Either way, I was annoyed, and I had school the next day, so I wasn't happy that I was woken up. I was barely awake and my Seroquel meds were completely kicked in, so I was kind of out of it. She told me she wanted to talk to me. I slowly sat up in my bed, and then she asked me to go into the bathroom with her. I thought it was weird, but I did it anyways because I was half asleep. As we entered my bathroom, she locked the door behind us. Once the lock clicked, I realized she had me where she wanted me. Missy was out of it too and was acting very strange. I could see her eyes were glazed over. I'd seen a look similar to this with her before, but this time her eyes took on the feeling of methodical planned intent of harm. I sensed something bad was going to happen and immediately grew nervous, and I had reason to be. Within seconds, she tackled me down and sat on top of me. Just as before, pinning me down. I was helpless yet again and under the weight of this crazy psycho. She began kissing and licking me all over my face. I was so disgusted that I wanted to throw up. She said if my father wasn't going to kiss her goodnight, then I would have to. I asked her nicely to get off me. It was a good thing I was heavily medicated, because at this point in my life I would have tried to kill her. My arms started tingling and they started to go numb. I was trapped and restrained underneath her. I kept asking her over and over to leave me alone, but she just ignored me. She had something else in mind. Instead, she reached for something in the pocket of the robe she was wearing. As her hand went into her pocket, she told me that it was all my fault that my dad was mad at her and not talking to her. She said that I was going to pay for making it all happen. I could barely make out her words. She was slurring and started mumbling other things I couldn't make out. She was basically talking crazy. By this time, I was terrified. And as I looked over towards her pocket, I watched her pull out a razor blade. She took the razor blade and began to cut the inside of my wrist. I think I went into shock or took myself into another place mentally, because I don't remember screaming or shouting. I just let it happen. As the blade sliced my wrist, she mumbled a bunch of stuff I could not understand. It was like everything went quiet. "What are you doing? Will you please get off of me? You're scaring me." I knew I was talking, but I couldn't hear myself. I had gone deaf. I started to struggle, but I was trapped under her weight and could not move. I started panicking. I slowly started to hear sound again, and then she said, "This time, you are going away for a long time. Hopefully, you will never come back. I can't have bitchy red troublemakers like you coming between me and love. I can't believe the nerve you have to cause a fight between us. You do it on purpose, don't you?" She kept saying red, 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 red over and over and over again. All I could think in my head was, "You crazy psychopath, when I get up, I'm going to kill you." She started cutting me with passion, as if she loved the feeling it gave her. She drove the razor blade deeper and faster into my wrist as tears fell down my face. She started laughing as she cut me. She watched in awe as my blood dripped off my arms. Suddenly, my wrist hurt so badly and blood was everywhere. I think at this stage, reality set in for me and I started to come out of the initial shock of what was happening. It was then that I realized I didn't think she was trying to kill me. She just wanted to hurt me and see me suffer as she did earlier that night. She was getting pure enjoyment from torturing me. She liked watching me in pain. She cut both my arms over and over. Both of my arms were cut from my elbows to my wrists. In the moment, I thought, well, at least there is no way she will be able to get away with this. There is physical proof of what she's done to me. It all happened so fast, and as soon as she was done, she quickly climbed off of me and threw the razor blade in my sink. Missy ran off into the kitchen, where I heard her wash her hands, pour herself another drink, and I also heard the sound of a pill bottle. I had no clue what she was doing, but I wasn't about to wait around any longer to find out. I ran across the other side of the house into my dad's room and woke him up. I showed him my bloody wrist and told him Missy had cut me, and I started to explain the story. My dad jumped out of bed to confront Missy, but when he came out, she was lying on the floor of the kitchen, passed out. She must have overdosed on pills or passed out from too much alcohol. I thought she was just faking it, but then I heard police sirens growing closer to our house. At some point, Missy had already called the hospital or police or something before passing out, because the police and ambulance arrived before we even had the chance to call them ourselves. When the ambulance arrived, my father did not know what to say, as my cut wrists looked like suicide cuts. I would have never cut myself, nor at the time did I even know how to. I told the emergency staff I did not do it, that Missy had, but she was out cold. Again, neither my dad nor the ambulance staff believed me. Nobody believed me, even with the incident with that my father witnessed that night at the table. I was still on my own, and once again, I was off to an asylum for something I never did. I could not trust a single soul. Try hard not to cry. I had no one to confide in, no one to listen to me. The last place I wanted to go was the hospital again. I had already been there so many times. I knew how awful those places were. I kept crying and saying, no, no, please no. I don't want to go back there. This time, they were sending me to UCLA Psychiatric Hospital. However, Mitzi would be joining me the next day. She had taken so many pills and drank so much alcohol, she needed to have her stomach pumped. I'm still not sure if she had taken the pills and alcohol in an attempt for my dad's attention or to try and cover her tracks by passing out in an attempt to prove she wasn't available to harm me at the time, or if she was going to try and say that I hurt her and then tried to kill myself, who knows. As smart as her attempts were, it only worked halfway. Sure, she got me sent away, but at the same time, she screwed herself in the process. Thankfully, the adult ward and the adolescent ward are separate. It was a good thing too, because I really did want to kill her. I was in pain from the cuts and my arms were sore, and once again she had landed me in another scary place, another asylum. How was she able to get away with all of this? She knew that since I had already been in a mental hospital and diagnosed as bipolar, getting me back in another ward would be easy. Once people find out you have a mental disorder or that you've been to a mental hospital, it's easy to judge and dismiss you. People tend to automatically think you are crazy. It sucks. So if you get misdiagnosed or sent to a psychiatric hospital by accident or mistake, it's hard to break away from that stigma. Your notes and records are all kept on file. Good luck breaking free from all of that. I was upset, mad, pissed off, angry, hurt, sad, every negative emotion you could think of. And could I do anything about it? No. Being in another psych ward sucked, but this place was bigger and nicer than Pine Grove or Northridge Hospital. It didn't have such a negative feel, but then again, this wasn't my first time around. Maybe I sort of knew what to expect. UCLA had art therapy twice a week, which was nice. I could paint and make candles, and even though I hated being there, I was safe from Mitzi. I knew she couldn't hurt me when I was locked away in these places. I met a few other girls who had it rough at home, so I didn't feel so alone. UCLA is a teaching hospital and the doctors move around in packs, so there were 8 doctors who would come in and see me. These doctors thought I should change from lithium to Depakote in higher doses to see how to react on them. I felt like a science experiment. I hated the drugs they were giving me, but I usually took them anyway. Sometimes if I could hide them and not take them, I would, and other days I just didn't care and would take them as they requested. I had spent so much time in mental hospitals at this point that I was getting better at hiding my meds. But I will say this, no matter how many times you've been sent to an insane asylum, it never gets easier. They suck just as much as the first time. Sometimes it would get so bad in there and I just couldn't take being locked away another second that I would purposely act out to get booty juice. So some of my stay was slept away with the help of drugs. I guess I didn't explain in my book what booty juice was. So I guess I'll tell you guys now. Maybe I did earlier in the book, but in this chapter, since if you guys haven't read the book, it's Thorazine. So they have like pills of Thorazine you can take, but it's actually an injection and it's in a very high dose. And so they pin you down, like the staff at the hospital, if you're acting out, they'll pin you down and sedate you basically and then put you in a padded room and you're like knocked out for like a long time. And it's basically like an injection that they give you. So I would purposely act out so that I can get this injection and you don't really want to get it, but sometimes like I couldn't help it or I would do it on purpose or whatever. And you're like out for a few days, at least I was. So that's what booty juice is, just an FYI. Then I would kick myself because it just made me have to stay there even longer. I would go so crazy in the hospital, I would sit on the cold ground in the corner and rock myself back and forth to pass the time. I hadn't realized it then, but I had turned into one of the girls that I was scared of when I walked into my first mental hospital. My mind and soul had been stripped away from me by the amount of drugs that were given to me on a daily basis by the doctors. When you are bad or act out, they just sedate you enough so that you can't really do anything. A few days later, my mom came to visit with my Aunt Jen. I was so happy when my family would visit me and I looked forward to it more than anything. I started getting used to the hospital life and it began to feel like a second home. My time at UCLA ward just went by as usual, I guess you could say. For some reason, I don't have as vivid of a memory of UCLA as I did at Pine Grove. Maybe it was the meds or maybe I was just getting better at blocking stuff out of my memory. I was released from UCLA Hospital just before turning 14 years old and just before I was about to go into the 7th grade. It was time for a new school, middle school. None of my friends were going to my middle school, so it was a clean slate in a new private school. Montclair College Prep was expensive and prestigious, and I was accepted there on a sports scholarship. I made some new friends there, and I also made friends with now celebrity Khloe Kardashian. Khloe was super sweet to me. We were good friends and hung out all the time. She wasn't famous back then, although her stepdad was a professional athlete, and I remember her showing me a Wheaties box with his face on it in their kitchen one day when I went over to her house after school. That's Bruce Jenner, by the way, or Caitlyn. I'm sorry, Caitlyn Jenner now. I didn't really think that much about it, and I knew where they lived. There were other celebrities, but it wasn't of any importance to me. Almost every kid's parents at that school were rich or famous for something. Chloe was cool, and all that I remember was that I wanted for her to teach me how she did her amazing makeup because she was so good at it. So I feel like this is getting really long and I don't want it to be like a 30-minute video, but there's still a lot more of this chapter. But there's actually a picture that I put in of like when I was in the 7th grade and Chloe and some of our friends like on a field trip. There are like pictures in the book and stuff. So yeah, I don't know, I just thought I would share that story time with you. I feel like it's been a while since I've given you guys a crazy story time about Mitzi. I know you guys like always are wondering about Missy and like all that kind of stuff. And I know that a lot of people are probably gonna ask me where my second book is, and you guys, I'm working on it. As you guys have known, if you've watched my past videos, you know we've gone through a lot this past year, and we are doing a fertility like IVF treatment as of me making this video right now. We're like right in the middle of it. So I am working on it. I promise it will be out soon. I'll keep you guys posted. But for those of you guys that do want to get this book, it's on Amazon, it has 5-star reviews. And I just want to say thank you to everyone that has bought this book and supported me. It really means a lot. Oh, you know what I want to do actually? At the end of every chapter, I put like lessons I've learned. So I'll actually share that with you guys for people that don't want to get the book. Here's what I learned. If you are severely depressed, you need to seek help, whether it's from a therapist, parent, family member, or friend. I know it can be hard to tell someone how you truly feel inside, and you may think no one cares, but life is meant to be happy and fun, and no one wants to feel sad. Also, know that a therapist can only help you help yourself. You have to want to get better in order to get where you want to be. And the second piece of advice is, I was in a period of my life when I was dealing with so many different things: an eating disorder, being bullied at school, depression, bipolar disorder, and feeling abandoned by my parents. Now I know that I was starving for attention and I wanted someone to care about me, so I acted out and did all these things I knew were wrong, but at the end of the day, I hurt myself the most. Do not ditch school, no matter how boring or awful it may be to you. Go to school and pay attention. When you grow up, you will need to be educated to get a decent job. You want to have a nice house, right? A cool car, a good job. Well, you will not get that nice life unless you stay in school. Also, it is really embarrassing when you do not know the answer to easy questions. Take it from me. Have you ever heard the saying, you are who your friends are? It is so important to find the right friends. I have had friends who were very mean to me. I wish I would have the courage to stop being friends with them. People that are mean to you do not deserve to have you as their friend. Most of the time when someone says or does hurtful things to you, it is because they are hurt themselves and they want to bring you down to their level. It is not you, it is them. Misery loves company. At the end of every chapter, I tell you what I learned from that chapter and give you kind of like life advice, if you will. So that's why it's called The Story of Channon Rose, Lessons Between the Lines. So anyway, I hope that you guys like the book, and if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Leave any comments down below if you guys want to see something similar to this again. Thank you again for watching. I'm sending you all my love and all my positive energy, and I hope to see you in my next video. Mwah!